Well, this Mother's Day certainly delivered a headline that really caught everyone's attention.
Mm-hmm.
Actress Amber Heard announced on Instagram this past Sunday, May 11th, 2025, that she's welcomed not one, but two new additions to her family, twins.
Wow. Yeah.
And this obviously expands her family beyond her daughter, Una.
It really was quite the surprise announcement, wasn't it? I mean, given, all the public attention around her life,
Right.
the arrival of twins seemingly sort of out of the blue like that, it definitely sparks curiosity about, well, the journey she's been on.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we want to explore today on this DRM News Global podcast. We're going to dig into the specifics of this really heartwarming announcement
Hmm.
and consider the context of her life, especially over the past few years, and really try to understand what this signifies as she, embraces this new chapter as a mother of three now.
Okay, so let's start with the announcement itself. It was Mother's Day on Instagram. What really stood out to you about how she shared the news?
Well, the opening lines of her post were, I thought, particularly touching. She wrote, "Mother's Day 2025 will be one I'll never forget.
Yeah.
This year, I am elated beyond words to celebrate the completion of the family I've strived to build for years. Today, I officially share the news that I welcome twins into the Heard gang."
The Herd Gang. I like that.
Yeah. And then the reveal of your names, a daughter, Agnes, and a son, Ocean.
Agnes and Ocean. Lovely names.
And the photo she shared, just three pairs of tiny feet. It kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. That
Yeah.
image. Three little pairs of feet. It's incredibly powerful, I think. It's so simple, but just a really profound way to communicate, two new lives arriving and the family instantly expanding.
Right.
Makes it feel very personal, pulls you right in.
It really does. And it makes you think back, doesn't it? Amber Heard first became a mother when her daughter Una Page Heard was born back in April 2021.
Hmm.
So Una's 4 years old now.
And I remember when Una arrived, she spoke so movingly then about how her world changed forever. And just feeling this incredible joy sort of sets the scene for how she must be feeling now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she directly referenced that in this latest announcement, didn't she? She said, well, now I am bursting times three.
Ha! Yeah.
It's like a clear continuation, but amplified, that same deep joy she felt with Una.
Oh, absolutely. Times three.
Yeah.
You just try to imagine the reality of suddenly having two newborns plus a
It's a
four-year-old.
lot.
It is. What's also really fascinating, I think, is her phrasing around becoming a mother on my own terms. Can you remind us what she specifically said there? Because it feels significant.
Yeah, she wrote, "Becoming a mother by myself and on my own terms, despite my own fertility challenges, has been the most humbling experience of my life."
Mm-hmm. Fertility challenges mentioned there, too.
Yes. And she also expressed gratitude for being able to choose this responsibly and thoughtfully. This really echoes what she said back in 2021 when Una was born.
Right. She talked about deciding to have a child years before and wanting to do it independently.
Exactly. She said she'd made the decision 4 years prior and, importantly, wanted to do it on her own terms.
It really highlights the sort of agency she's asserting, doesn't it? Defining her own way to motherhood. I remember her comment back then about hoping it becomes normalized to not want a ring in order to have a crib.
That was such a powerful statement, wasn't it? About societal
He
expectation.
really was.
And back then, she even reflected on how radical it felt for women to think about their destinies that way.
Mm-hmm.
So this new announcement, welcoming Agnes and Ocean, it feels like a further step in that direction. A really conscious, empowered choice to build her family how she envisions it.
Yeah. It definitely makes you think about how much, or maybe how slowly, societal views on family structures are actually changing.
True. It's also interesting to think about the contrast in how she shared the news this time versus with Una.
Ah, right. Because Una's arrival was kept private for, what, almost 3 months?
Yeah, nearly 3 months.
Hmm.
Which really suggested, a strong desire to shield her daughter from that intense public spotlight.
Understandable.
Definitely. And when she did eventually announce Una's birth, she mentioned feeling sort of compelled by her job, her profession, to take control of the story.
Okay.
So maybe with the twins,
Mm.
perhaps she felt more ready. Or maybe just felt the need to share it more openly this time, even if she still values that personal space.
Or maybe, the experience of raising Una for 4 years has shifted her perspective a bit on that public-private balance.
Could be. It really shows that constant negotiation public figures have to do, doesn't it? Between their private lives and their public image.
Absolutely. And we should probably mention that back in December 2024, People magazine actually had an exclusive report saying she was expecting another child.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and her rep said at the time that Amber was delighted for herself and for Una.
So the idea of another edition wasn't totally out of nowhere for people following closely?
Not entirely, no. And now, with the twins actually here, that same representative has shared that Amber is, again, delighted to welcome the twins and complete her family.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave a lovely little insight saying, Mama and babies are enjoying every minute, and Una is happily running the show.
Uh-huh. I love that. Una is happily running the show. That paints such a picture, doesn't it? A busy, joyful house.
It certainly does. And this family expansion, it comes after, well, a really tumultuous period for her publicly.
Right, the very high-profile legal battles with her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, which finally concluded in 2022.
And after that, her move to Madrid, to Spain, that seemed like a very clear signal, didn't it? An intention to step away from that spotlight and find a quieter kind of life.
Absolutely. And if you put that move to Spain alongside her growing family now,
Yeah.
it just really emphasizes her desire for some peace, some privacy,
Yeah.
so she can focus on being a mom away from the constant media frenzy she lived through.
Exactly. I think back in June 2022, she was interviewed and actually said she was looking forward to being a full-time mom without juggling all the legal calls and everything.
Right.
And then Connor Allen, a director she worked with in 2023, he commented on how she seemed to be living her best life in Spain with her daughter and just finding happiness.
Mm.
And specifically called her a very dedicated mom. So these little glimpses, they all paint a consistent picture, really, of her priorities shifting firmly towards her family.
It does make you wonder, though,
Mm.
thinking longer term, how she might approach discussing the trials with her children when they're older.
That's a complex one.
She did mention wanting to wait until they're old enough for it to mean something to them.
Hmm.
And she also affirmed her own stance, saying, I did the right thing. I did everything I could to stand up for myself and the truth.
That statement, it says a lot about her own perspective, her resilience, and maybe how she wants to frame those incredibly difficult experiences for her kids eventually, through a lens of, personal integrity.
Yeah, it suggests she's thought about the long game, how she'll navigate her past in the context of her children's future understanding.
For now, though, it seems crystal clear her immediate focus is just the day-to-day reality, the joys, the demands of raising 3 young children.
Absolutely. And she wrapped up her Mother's Day message with such a warm, inclusive feeling, didn't she? Addressing all mothers.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you are today and however you got here, saying her dream family and I are celebrating with you, and then just signing off, love always, AX.
It's a lovely closing touch. And, just as a quick reminder for listeners, before this very personal chapter, many people will know her from her acting career.
Right. Films like The Rum Diary, Drive Angry, Zombieland.
And of course, the big one, the Aquaman movies.
Yeah. So this announcement, it really marks a huge personal milestone for someone whose life, for better or worse, has been incredibly public.
So bringing it all together then, Amber Heard has welcomed twins, a daughter Agnes and a son Ocean, joining their older sister Una. It's definitely the start of a very, very full and exciting new phase for her, one that seems deeply centered around motherhood.
Absolutely. Which leads us to a final thought maybe for you listening today.
Yeah.
Consider the complexities,
Go on.
navigating such a public life while making these profoundly personal choices about family. How do public figures, especially ones who faced really intense scrutiny like Amber Heard has, how do they balance that need for privacy with the public's seemingly endless interest in their lives?
That's a great question. And what does it maybe tell us about our own relationship with celebrity stories? When news like this, really significant personal news gets shared, it's this fascinating, sometimes messy intersection of the private and the public.
Mm-hmm.
And Amber Heard's announcement welcoming Agnes and Ocean, it certainly gives us a lot to think about there.